hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome to Double9Radio.
Good evening.
Hello, V. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so good.
Fantastic. Glad to have you on the show. First of all, I want to say a big thank you for taking time out to come on the show today, because I know you could get quite busy as well, especially now during the pandemic times. Your clients are always calling you, I'm sure.
They are.
Fantastic. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have the amazing... I already said her name. I didn't want to actually say her name because I've been so excited. This is a V. I've been so excited about this show, and I've been trying to hold my excitement in place so I can actually do this interview and get that information out to my listeners. But I'll try. Do bear with me if I do sound so excited on the show today. But I'm so amazed to have you on the show. I'm so glad to have you on the show. But just tell us, what do we have on the show today?
V Roberts of Insight to Marketing.
Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's V Roberts of Insight Marketing. I think she's being very modest here at present, but I think I'm going to go into a bit of what V is about. V has a lot of experience within the marketing and branding things. Should I say things or services? Amazing personality as well. Always helpful. Always doing things on Instagram to give out information about marketing and brand, and also increasing sales within your business as well. V, is that right?
It is correct, yeah. I'm a brand and marketing consultant. I've been doing this now for nearly 25 years. I absolutely love helping business owners and startups to really get clarity on the best way to get results. And that's just based on my personal journey of starting up with virtually nothing. I started up my business with £100. Just under 8 years ago.
Wow, that's quite amazing. That's quite an amazing, story there. Do you know what I mean? And also, you forgot to mention the multiple awards that you have. I mean, you have loads of them. I can't even, start listing them out. If I start listing them out, it might take all the time on the show this evening.
Well, I've got a number of awards, but I got to be honest with you. Since day one of my business even starting, I've always said I really don't feel that the awards are anything to write home about, and I don't want to discredit them in any way because they're all very worthy awards. I mean, I'm also Forbes featured. I've been on the BBC. I'm a mentor for 3 very well-known organisations. I'm a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts, and so yeah, all of those accolades are great. But actually, what makes me really get a natural high is seeing results from my clients. And that I got just because I've got my degree and I've had, nearly 25 years experience in the industry. The awards came on the back of all of that. You know what I mean? So yeah. I've got awards. I've got, 16 awards. And those are great because obviously they just add to my credibility. But actually where I feel my credibility lies is in the proof that my clients actually get results from doing the work.
Amazing.
A lot of people in the industry have awards and don't actually get results for their clients.
Yeah.
Not throwing shade, just keeping it real. So the awards don't actually make me. It's actually seeing my clients winning and actually seeing my clients get results. That's what I feel evidences that I actually know my stuff.
Amazing. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, she actually mentioned being real. And I tell you, she is real. She keeps it real, straight, not hold back, and just try and get results all the time, always 100%. And I love that about V. I mean, but if anyone was to ask me or ask you, who is V Roberts, what would you say?
I'm very direct, as you can probably tell. I'm quite straightforward in the way that I deliver my solutions to clients. I am very caring as a person, as a coach as well. I think one of the things that, I will leave as part of my legacy is that I genuinely care about people. And even coaching clients I have, some of them are really going through it right now. I genuinely care about my people. I don't, and I have a reputation, and certainly that's evidenced through recent research that I've conducted for being there for my clients. And then that is, important to me. So aside from being caring, I've also got a very quirky and I've got a lot of a childish side to me where I will do really crazy, quirky things occasionally.
Yeah.
Got a big sense of humour. So I like to see the fun in stuff. But I can also be quite serious. When it comes to being serious, I can get quite serious in terms of being focused and disciplined in what I'm doing.
Amazing.
But yeah, I think if someone was to describe me, I love my family, love to travel, love to dance. I love God, and I am very driven by results.
Okay.
Missed that bit out, but that's probably very important. I'm not competitive, but I'm driven about actually seeing results. I want to see results. If I do anything, there's got to be an outcome.
Amazing. Is that, what would you say, that's part of your inspiration, or what else inspires you apart from seeing that results that you mentioned?
What inspires me is that I don't know how much you know about my kind of backstory to before even starting uni, but I was a teen mum. So I actually have a 24-year-old.
Wow.
and
amazing.
and an 18-year-old and a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. So I've got 4 children.
No,
but,
wow.
Yeah.
How do you do it? I mean, you're doing amazing at what you're doing. You're a superhuman being. Wow.
Well, to be fair, 2 of them are under 8, and the other 2 are big, and they look after and feed themselves most of the time.
Okay.
But what inspired me to start my business was that I'd had enough of people telling me when I could start and finish work. I'd had enough of my manager telling me that I had to stay behind, even though my daughter's nursery was closing.
Yeah.
I had to stay behind and get that paperwork submitted. I had to go back over all of the I's and T's in the paperwork to make sure there were no typos. And she would literally pick up my work. I was on a graduate program for a very well-known brand, managing, thrown into the management pool, age 21. And that was a very big responsibility for me, because I was basically applying everything that I'd learned at uni on the job. Like first job as a senior manager. It was crazy. But anyway, the reason I was inspired to start my own business, and the reason I've kept on till now, is because I like to prove myself wrong. I could have been a write-off, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but I could have been that teen mum that has a council flat and basically doesn't feel like anything in the world can be positive. You know, and there are many young people that might even listen to this tonight or may catch wind of this interview. And I would say, when you're a teenage mum, you have options. Yeah. And I had options, and I always have options. We all have options in life, but the decisions we make today affect our future tomorrow. And the decisions that I made when I was young, I knew were going to be relevant to my future. So I continued to study as a teen mum. I made sure I was in employment. I juggled quite a lot. I still managed to get the parties in. And I have basically been inspired to keep going, because I see that I can make it work. And with the determination and discipline, doesn't matter what anyone tells me. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm doing it. And that's the kind of mindset that I like my clients to have as well. You know, a lot of people will try and make your thoughts swerve another direction, maybe because of their own insecurities, you know. Yeah. A lot of people, when I was pregnant, said, oh, you know, you're not going to amount to anything. Oh, we knew you'd fall pregnant early. Oh, you just want to do this to get a flat. And I thought, no, I didn't. No, I didn't want to do that.
I mean, that's such an inspiring story, you know. And also, you actually mentioned as well, you know, you started off with £100, which I think is quite, you know, your determination to ensure that you didn't fall within the norm or the stereotype of a teenage mom, to say, okay, this is a teenage mom, this is where you're going to end up. I think that's quite commendable as well. I mean, you also mentioned about the early part of your career, you know, where you, thought, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm breaking out. But what were the jobs you did before you actually started to follow your passion?
Well, I worked for a number of big organisations. My very first role, as I said, after I graduated, was working with a very well-known telecoms giant. Yeah, and I worked on 2 international telecoms campaigns with them. I also did a UK-wide launch of their one of their websites. I can't say the name of their website, but it was a website that was defunct for a long time. And myself and a gentleman called Chris Wellbeloved, we rebranded it, redesigned it, relaunched it. I also launched a very well-known prepaid phone card. I was responsible for that. And then, you know, like all of those, like, user notices in payphones, I used to do all the small print and all the telephone user guides. It was all learning, and I love it, because it actually helped me so much in terms of plain English, copywriting, paying attention to detail, etc. But I worked with telecoms, I worked within the healthcare sector, I worked for 2 very well-known council. I also worked for a business improvement district where I was responsible for basically driving footfall into a very well-known town centre, one of London's largest boroughs in terms of borough councils. I did a property expo where I worked with the likes of the lovely Boris Johnson.
Lovely Boris Johnson, okay.
Yeah, big property expo.
Yeah. Amazing. That's quite such a great career as well. And you decided to just follow your passion, for branding.
Yeah, I was thrown out my job, basically. I was made redundant. Myself and my team, there was a merger, and they said, you know what, V, we're going to have to let go of some of you. So I took a lovely redundancy package and spent it, went on some holidays, paid off some debts that I had, and I was left with £100.
Wow.
And when I got to the £100, I mean, I'd gone for lots of jobs. People were coming to me from all kinds of, I could tell you all the agencies. I had a number of agencies contacting me non-stop. Then Morgan Hunt at the time, even Adecco, there were loads. And I was kept on turning down jobs. They just weren't right for me. They were either too far or the income was too low, or I could see that I was going to clash with management because it was very clear they wanted to micromanage. And you probably picked up from this interview so far, I'm a little bit of a rebel, Double9.
Yes,
so
I know.
I didn't want anyone telling me.
I love that about you. I love that about
I didn't want anyone telling me what to do. So I said, you know what, forget this. Forget these interviews. I've had enough. I said, I'm going to start my own business. And that's what I did. I had £100. And I remember I had family members saying, what are you doing? Just get a proper job. Like, what? You're crazy. Why? And I said, I'll tell you why. Because I'm not working for anyone else. None of these jobs I've gone to are fitting for me. Yeah. I'm finding myself running home to get the kids on time, stressing out, crying on the train because I'm late. I've got to pay when I get to the nursery. I'm starting my own business. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did.
Fantastic.
And, I haven't looked back.
Okay.
I've not looked back.
Okay, that's really good. I'm so inspired right now. It's like I want to do more things. Like I'm going to be an astronaut or something. Before the end of the year. Who knows? But I want to know, so because you do what you do so well. Your branding and marketing and all the things you do. But what drives that passion? What gets you going to say, you know what, I want to immerse myself in this? What was that passion? What drives that passion for you?
I tell you what. One of my first jobs I had as a teen mum before doing the degree and my postgrad was actually that I worked for a very well-known bank doing telesales. And prior to working for that bank, I did outbound sales for a very well-known distributor and courier company, a global courier company. And I had a knack for selling. I was really good. I used to win all the prizes. And I was very motivated by results. I was like a little kid. When they had prizes and competitions, I'd be like, yes, I want to do this. So it moved on from a motivation of wanting to win prizes for selling to actually wanting to understand, why do people buy? Like, why do people see an advert or listen to a radio advertisement and want to buy something? And then when they go to buy that thing, how is it that I'm able, via a script and some of my own personal editing, in conversation, how is it I'm then able to sell them more stuff? Wow. And it fascinated me. So I went into studying my marketing and communications degree, where I learned about branding and brand development and campaign planning and strategy. And my fire was lit. When I got my degree, I got a 2-1. I was literally just a few points away from my first. But I thought, you know what? I'll take that, because I was actually quite lazy. And I was also pregnant with my second child by the time I was ready to graduate. And I said, you know what, I'm going to continue with this. And so I continued to study and learn more. I did a lot more courses. I still do courses even now to this day. Yeah. But I've never switched off. My brain never switches off from marketing. I could go out, right, to the cinema and be watching a family movie with the kids, and an advert could come on, and I'd be sitting down writing notes.
You're thinking about branding and marketing. Amazing.
I'll be on the tubes, like, taking photos. People are looking at me like, what's she up to? I remember getting told off by someone. They said, you can't take pictures on London Underground. It's illegal. I said, what are you talking about? They said, yeah, because of the Terrorism Act. You can't take pictures on the train.
That's a new one. I don't know. I need to do a bit of research on that one.
I didn't know if that was true, but trust me, I've never taken a picture since. But I'm always analysing adverts. I'm a geek. I'm honestly, I can say I'm a geek. I'd rather sit down and read, marketing magazines or analyse campaigns or copy than actually watch a soap.
Amazing.
Literally, it's quite sad, but that's just
it's
that's where my passion
I think it's
is.
your passion, isn't it? It's your passion, and it's what you do, and you do it quite well. So I mean, I
Yeah.
want to get right into it now. You know, we know you have a passion for branding and marketing, but I want to take it one at a time to actually get the true nature or the true definitions of what a brand identity is, because a lot of people mistake or are unsure what a brand identity is. But from your perspective, what is a brand identity?
Well, a brand identity can be one of two things, and actually you could go even deeper in terms of layer. But when you're looking at brand identity, you're really looking at angles like visuals, colors, shapes, even tone of voice. I think the main thing that I would say with brand is around the brand experience. So the way you make someone feel as a brand, whether you're a personal brand or a business brand, is quite critical to the way in which you show up. So let me break it down a bit further. As a personal brand, you might be, for example, me. I'm V Roberts. I'm a author, or rather, I am an author. I'm also a public speaker. I get paid to speak. So I have a public Facebook page, which is my personal page where I'm V Roberts, the person. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So people can go onto that page and they can like and comment, and I share a lot on that personal page, and my brand identity is very much about me. Me, the brand, me, the face. I am the face of that particular page. But then you've got other companies and industries, let's say, for example, construction or legal, or where there's a team of painters and decorators, for example, and their brand identity might be a logo, because maybe they're a group of people or a team that sit behind a brand. So when you think about like Tesco's and Sainsbury's, TK Maxx, Walmart, Epicurean and Macro and all those kind of brands, that's business identity, which is a company logo. And it's still a brand identity, but the two are very different because they've got different tones of voice. When you think about language, you're looking at we versus I. When you're looking at images, you're looking at the image of one person, maybe versus the image of a team. Right. But looking at brand identity, it's about more like the visual elements of a brand. So when we look at things like brand guidelines, when I'm creating, just this week actually, I did a logo for a wellness advocate. And we were finishing up the logo. We've actually been working on it for a number of days. Okay. And I said to her, are you happy with it? Is the font the way you want it? We went through a whole process of looking at what she wanted to show up as, the symbols or the words that she wanted to resonate with her audience. And we created a concept for her that was built around color and design and even layout of the symbols that she used. So visually, she created a brand identity that, should she want to endorse it on or print it on letterheads or put it on a uniform or livery, she can do that. And it's very powerful because it stands out. It's a very, very easily constructed brand, and it's something that even if she took away the strap line, even if she took away one of the colors, it's still going to have a very strong feel. So a brand identity is really about distinguishing your brand, making it stand out. And if it's applied consistently and you've got a brand experience to back it up, right, people will actually remember you for something.
So is a brand identity the same as a visual brand identity? Are they one of the same, or is it different?
Yeah, I would say they're one of the same, because a visual brand identity is basically what a brand identity is. It's the logo. It's, as I said, it's looking at elements of the brand where if you're looking at, let's say, for example, colors, themes, strapline, words, graphics that are actually associated with the brand. So, for example, if you think about Virgin, you've got the big V that's associated with it. If you think about Sainsbury's, you've got the bold orange that's associated with it. If you think about BT, you've got the globe that's associated with it. Barclays, you've got the big falcon. Is it a falcon or something, some kind of bird you've got associated with it? Right. That's all part of the brand identity. Exactly. So, and beyond that symbol, it is, as I said, the value that the brand is perceived to have, and other elements as well. But the identity itself is definitely the visual. It's how people actually look at and warm to that brand. Okay.
So, why do you think businesses actually need a strong brand? Why do we need one?
Well, I think strong brands are very much needed because it improves the value of your brand. So if you, for example, you sell delicious, yummy cookies and cakes, But when you actually go to your website, the brand experience is awful because all the links are broken, or perhaps it's really hard to navigate the website, or perhaps when I call you, you take 3 hours to answer your phone. That is a negative brand experience. And so in building a brand, this is what I was saying, when you've got your visual identity there and you're clear on what visually you need to look like, you also need to remember how you make people feel is also part of your brand, right? The brand experience. So do you need a strong brand? Yes. Does it need to be all polished straight away, though? No. And that is a debate I have all the time, because personally launching my brand on just £100, whilst I appreciate that, it's important to have a good visual identity. You want to have a strong brand. But if you haven't got much money, you've got to make do with what you've got and try to be professional with it. So, you can use tools like Canva and Pixabay and Unsplash, InShot, and lots of tools. I've got a whole list of them. There are lots of tools you can use, even on a zero budget. And all you need is an idea of your brand color palette. So like what you want to use in terms of your brand colors, and also some time and a Wi-Fi connection. Because if you take your time to create templates, as an example, and you can even create logos if you want to, but they look quite budget. Let me be honest, a lot of people create logos on the free tools. So what you end up with is a logo that looks like everybody else's. My company does very bespoke logos for affordable rates, but there are many things you can do to build a brand identity, and I think it's absolutely necessary that we start somewhere. So don't delay, because you haven't got £1,000 for a website. Don't delay. Try and use what you've got, but definitely be resourceful with that. That's what I would say. It's necessary to have a brand because people will pay more, or they'll take you more seriously, if you have a brand identity. Definitely.
One of the major struggles of small business, which you mentioned earlier as well, is about the budget. Budget is one of the main things on spending, on a good brand, on a trusted brand. But I want to know, like, from your perspective, or your experience as well, how much you think is value to spend on building a very effective brand for a small business?
I'm going to be honest with you. I work with a lot of clients. Some of them have huge budgets. I'm working with a very big and well-known magazine at the moment. And I work with other big brands as well, and even external companies that have, £250,000 upwards to spend. But the thing is, it's not about how much you've got to spend, it's how resourceful you can be. Because if you've got £100, you can make that stretch, right? And it sounds crazy, but £100, nowadays we can create websites, for example, on platforms like Milkshake, which is an extension to or part of the Instagram family. Milkshake is free. We can create websites with things like Wix.com or GoDaddy or 123 Reg, where you build you get your domain name, or WordPress or Webflow. And the cost to do some of those things is not as expensive as we think. But it's about having time and being resourceful. If you don't have time to learn, or you don't have time to invest in actually doing the work, then of course it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you lots in the long term, because you'll probably try and do it for free and spend lots of time, in which case you've wasted time and money. Or you'll pay someone else to do it, and maybe they won't do the job you want. So it's like a double-edged sword, really. But I would definitely say, in starting off, the more money you've got, the better. That's not to say you need to get a loan, and that's not to say you need to ask anybody to invest in your business, but definitely look at what's important. So do you need print? Do you need a website? No, I don't think you do, because there are many ways to produce electronic brochures and downloadable books, which are free. And there are platforms like issue.com, which is ISSW.com, where you can host up to 20 publications online free of charge. Some of them can be private. I think you can do up to 2 private. There are platforms where you can get design. You can do some really cool videos now. I saw a new video app today. Can't remember what it's called, but it came up in my ads. There are lots of tools you can use free to do videos. But if you're not so good at video, you don't have to pay someone, £700 for your first video. Take time and learn how to create videos. invest in someone to teach you how to make videos. You know, do a little course. There are lots of things going on at the moment, and also there are lots of things you can learn for free online.
Yeah.
I have on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/insights and marketing, I've got 4 different playlists, and all of them include free trainings and lots of tips. I mean, people are watching my videos all the time. I look at my analytics every week, and there are always new comments. There are always new subscribers, and I've got different tips on there. You know, how to start a business, how to write a marketing plan, how to build a brand, how to maintain brand loyalty, how to do your first event, how to do sponsorship. It's all there. So you don't need lots of money, but you do need to be mindful of where you're spending your time and what you're spending your time doing. But if you do have money, then I would say I would definitely put aside about £1,000 to start off with if you've got the money. But if you haven't, just work with what you've got.
Amazing. I mean, you know, I think you kind of made some very valid points there. You know, asking the right questions. What you're trying to achieve. You know, can I not pay someone? Can I just learn this myself? And what available free tools out there to actually implement, you know, building off this brand? Do you know what I mean? And also, you mentioned about social media. You know, how do you know, how does social media contribute to brand building or brand presence?
Well, I think social media is pivotal to successes of most brands, but I always say use tactics and platforms that suit you. So at the moment, Clubhouse is all the rage. But I've been saying to even some of my clients, you know, if you're not clear yet on what you're doing this year, or you're not really clear on who your customer is yet, particularly if they're new to my paid membership group, you know, if you know that you've still got to sort out your back end and you've got to sort out your payment systems and your website's got loads of broken links, don't go on Clubhouse just yet. Sort out your priorities, because what you don't want, as using Clubhouse as an example, is first of all to get really distracted by lots of different rooms, but secondly to start getting inquiries that you can't even handle because you haven't got a payment system, you've got no way to onboard clients, you've got no way to book appointments. It just doesn't look professional. So when you're looking at how to spend time on social media, my thing is, where do you need to spend time and where do you want to spend time? Because everybody wants to be everywhere. We want to be tweeting and, you know, Instagramming and live streaming. But actually, if you've got lots of things to do in your business on the operational side, or you're always screaming for help, or you need to do more in terms of getting work completed, social media is not a priority. So just set up some profiles and make sure you've secured your handles, right, your profile or your account name, and work on the priorities. Or schedule lots of posts until you've got time to focus on social media, and choose the platforms based on where you know your audience hang out. You don't need to be everywhere. I've actually got a client of mine who only uses LinkedIn, and she's been able to secure 2 very healthy contracts and actually pack in her day job from using the tips that I've shared with her about LinkedIn. So you don't have to be on Instagram and, you know, Facebook, and, you know, just look at the time you've got available, look at where you feel most comfortable, and make sure you've got all your ducks in a row before you start jumping on every single social media wagon. Because the thing is, it's very easy to get lost from what you're trying to do. So a simple strategy will keep you in line, and just make sure you're checking those analytics.
A lot of people don't actually do that. You know, what's the importance of actually checking those analytics? What does it do for your brand?
The analytics help because they're useful for making informed decisions. So if you are someone, for example, that posts regularly on social media, or you're someone who perhaps does lots of live streams on social media, or perhaps you have a YouTube channel where you do lots of videos and upload them, let's say once a week, the analytics will tell you, for example, where people tail off, where they get bored. The analytics will tell you on some platforms the age group of who's looking at your content. The analytics will share with you if they're male or female, the days of the week when people are most active on your profile. And it's those kind of stats that then helps you to make informed decisions around the type of content you want to share, but also if the platform's working for you. Because some of us are posting regularly on Instagram, and I mean like consistently showing up daily, and we're not generating any leads. We are not making any sales. Our followers' numbers are always going up and down. And by the way, if they're going down, that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes when they go down, it's a good thing. You can shed off some of the people that aren't interested in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But by not looking at analytics, we're missing a trick. To use analytics on social media to guide you with what you should be doing when it comes to posting of content, but also connecting with the right audiences.
Fantastic. That's quite amazing. I think analytics is quite important, as you mentioned as well, because it does give you that insight into what you're doing right and what you need to improve on. Okay.
Absolutely.
We're going to go for a short break, and we shall be back on the other side to talk a bit more about the marketing side of things as well.
Okay.
And hopefully we will get some more information on how to increase sales. Who knows? Stay locked on, stay locked in. It's your host, Double9,
yep,
with a fantastic V. Roberts of Insight to Marketing. You don't want to miss the other side of this one. Stay locked on, stay locked in. On the show, giving us great information around marketing and branding, as well as the one and only V. Roberts, who's been giving us some great information around that. I mean, we talked about the difference between brand identity and visual brand. Is actually the same thing, but you have to have a personal brand as well. She did explain that as well. And she will explain, why it's important for small business to actually have, a brand identity, because you create trust for your customers, and they're confident in engaging you to buy from you as well, and hopefully that would increase your sales as well. V, welcome back to the show. I hope you're having a good time.
Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So, before the break, we kind of talked about where we actually need to improve, or where we need to actually pay more attention. I think that's a great thing, to share with our audience this evening. But I want to know, what is the difference between branding and marketing? Is there a unique difference, or is it the same thing, or do they come hand in hand? What is the major difference?
Well, the biggest difference is that branding is, as I was saying earlier, it's about how you're showing up visually. And if you think about it like dating, I know this is a bit of a corny example, and hopefully I'll remember it right, because I heard someone else say it, and I thought, this is really clever. It's really like how you're showing up and presenting yourself, but the marketing side is the kind of nurturing of conversation, good conversation, building relationships, two-way engagement. So if you think about then I don't know if you've ever gone on like a date or even just gone for a meal with a complete stranger. When you're having conversations with someone, they might look at your face value or kind of things you're saying, or even how you treat the waitress. And that may be, a something that attracts them to you or repels them from you. But then if they're attracted to you, the next step in that kind of date or meal out is going to be you nurturing good conversation with them, and perhaps, getting telephone number afterwards, or speaking about, what happens next, And it's very much the same, if I can break that down in kind of like modern day, when it comes to transactional marketing and people coming to, let's say, a shop. They go into a shop, nobody greets them. They go into a restaurant, nobody seats them down at a table or speaks to them about, what they want to eat, and they just sit there, looking into space. The experience is awful. So trying to then sell them food on the menu is not really going to work. And it's the same thing for, business owners. If you can't brand your business properly, and then you are then trying to sell to someone using marketing, usually going to be some kind of human-to-human interaction or promotional activity, they're not going to buy from you. So the branding side is, as we were saying earlier, the visual identity, how you're showing up, how you look, shirt and tie versus jeans or tracksuit. And then from there, it's really about the conversation and how you nurture relationships. And certainly in the online market, it is very much about that, because a lot of us feel that, just because our social media pages look amazing, we spent money on all the aesthetics, the images are all color-coded, it's every third picture is a quote, every fourth picture is an image. Because of that, people are going to buy. No, they're not, because people want to build relationships and connect with brands, usually on an emotional level. So if you don't speak to your audience, as an example, or you don't, ask how people are feeling, or there's no after-sales process, or even before someone bought something, you haven't taken the time to even want to know them, the marketing's not going to work. So marketing is about promotional and transactional and emotional behaviors, whereas branding is more about the visual element. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. Like the marketing side, it promotes engagement because your brand is there. They trust the brand, and people now want to engage with that. So
that's right.
How do you get them to engage with that brand? That's amazing. Now, we talked about having a budget for branding. But you hear a lot of organizations talking about marketing budget and how much they need to spend to ensure they promote the engagement, to ensure that people actually do buy the brand as well. But for a small business, can an effective marketing campaign be done without a budget?
Yeah, definitely. Using social media or online marketing or even email marketing. I mean, you're asking me, and I started my business on £100. I didn't have a marketing budget, so that kind of question is music to my ears. I mean, most people, it's funny because they'll say they don't have marketing budget, or they'll say things like, "Oh, I don't have time to do marketing," but yet those same people will waste money boosting posts on Facebook, and those same people will also spend lots of time on social media just looking at memes and funny pictures. So when we're talking about budget and allocating time, to me it's a jump between the two, because if you spend lots of time on the internet but you're not actually doing things for your business when you're on the internet, and then you say to me, "Oh, V, I don't have time, I'm really busy, I don't have time," I'm going to turn around and say to you, "Well, how did you spend on social media this week? And of that time you spent on social media, how many leads or inquiries or sales did you get? In the time you spent on social media, how many conversations did you strike up? How many of your followers and connections did you speak to?" Right? Because that doesn't require a budget.
No.
But a lot of people will spend an hour plus a day on social media and then cry and say they don't have time to run their business. Yeah, every day, 1 hour is 7 hours a week.
Yeah.
That's a full day spent on social media with absolutely nothing to show for it. So when I'm talking about making budget in your business for marketing, I'm not always talking about it from a financial angle. I'm also talking about it in terms of time, because time is a currency and it's one you can't get back.
Yes.
So I had £100, and what I did was I spent £100, well, £90 on a website, and then I made online marketing work for me. So I spent, in between breastfeeding I'm sorry for the visual in the mind there, but in between looking at nursing my child at like 2 a.m, I'd be going online and speaking to people in the Caribbean. I'd be going online and speaking to people in the USA, and I'd be building my audience. And I'd be scheduling posts so that when I was sleeping with the baby, who is now 8, by the way, I would be able to sleep, and my posts would be going out whilst I'm sleeping, and those posts would then be giving me visibility.
Amazing.
So I made it work for me. I didn't have a big budget. The £100 I had, I built a website, but what I did have was time when I was breastfeeding, time when I was sat in the doctor's surgery, even time when I was actually, before I was having my son. I spent a lot of time doing research, desk-based research. Cost to me, nothing, other than the Wi-Fi connection and my time.
Fantastic.
But a lot of us, as I said, will say, "Oh, we don't have time." I taught myself how to use Canva. I built a lot of my leaflets and my brochures and my posters, although some of them were pretty hideous at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I started from somewhere and I took action.
Exactly.
And so you don't need a big budget. If you have one, as I said earlier, then great. But if you don't, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I mean, now is the time to actually, because, I mean, I was speaking to a colleague earlier today, and we kind of like reflected on 2020. The time, yes, we're in a lockdown, but that type of lockdown where everyone was locked in, you couldn't go anywhere, it's kind of time you can never get back. As you mentioned, time is currency. What did you achieve then? What did you look at? What did you build to bring it into 2021? I mean, one of the things I kind of, realize when I speak to a lot of people, or quite a number of people, is social media. A lot of people misuse social media. A lot of people just kind of like post pictures, taking selfies. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. But are you spending enough time to actually build that business you're doing if you're in a business? Because a lot of people make a living. Influencers, for instance. Make a living of just posting pictures. But they post pictures and they get paid for it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so, it's very, I mean, I love the way you answered the question about, do you need a budget? No, you don't need a budget. But why do you think, a lot of us who, small business owners, entrepreneurs and that fail to recognize the power of social media?
I think it's because we make an assumption that you can't sell on social media. So therefore we don't have a strategy for using social media, and that's why we waste a lot of time on social media. You see, the difference between me and perhaps other brands is that when I'm on social media, as much as you might see me going live all the time, it's evident that I get leads on my lives. It's evident that people buy from me on my lives. So I make sure, I don't go on a mission to sell, but I make sure that when I go live, I've got a reason for going live. Sometimes I go live and just play music, which is another conversation because it's to do with the algorithm. But I will go live and I will speak. I will answer questions live. I will demonstrate my expertise. I will take callers and join them with me in the hot seat, as I called it, over the festive period. And I really enjoy that. And I think a lot of people miss a trick because they feel like social media is literally just posting pictures and sitting and looking pretty, when actually that lacks so much substance. It lacks substance, it lacks depth, it doesn't actually demonstrate that you know your stuff at all. Because everybody can write a good caption, and let's be fair, there are a lot of people that go out and actually make it their duty to copy other people's captions. So it's not rocket science that if you've got a good picture and you buy some followers and you copy a few captions, you can look like you're making it, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, when you're on social media, if you don't have a game plan, if you're not clear on who you're trying to target, where they are online, what you're offering them, what you're going to say to them to connect with them, and how you're going to keep conversations going, you're wasting time. Because there's loads of people on social media that have got accounts with thousands of followers, and they're not selling a thing. They're not selling a thing. I've spoken to, in the last maybe 8-12 weeks, I've spoken to hair care brands, beauticians, legal practitioners, healthcare coaches, fitness experts. And I'm like, well, you've got loads of followers. How are you not making money? One lady, her brand is immaculate. And I asked her, how's it going? It looks like it's going really well. She said, I haven't made sales for about 3 months. She said, things slowed right down for me. I said, well, you'd never be able to tell that from your post. So this is just to say to anyone who does listen or listen back that, don't be fooled by pictures. And I shouldn't use that word fool, because I'm sure that's not what anyone's doing, but do not be led astray by someone's images, because often you can have the most glamorous of images and you can have the most dysfunctional, disorganized team behind those images, and you can also have a zero bank balance behind those images. So just be mindful of who you're looking at when you're telling yourself that you're not good enough, because actually everyone has to start from somewhere. And when you're building a brand, the promotion side of it is key, but you have to know how and where to promote, and you also need to have a strategy so that you use your time and money efficiently.
Amazing. I love that. I mean, that brings me nicely into the next question is, we have new, business owners, coming up during the pandemic. Everyone is locked in. Everyone's just trying to find a way to get away from boredom, or maybe even follow their passion. And also have the existing entrepreneurs as well. And you mentioned marketing strategy. What should they be focusing on to put together, maybe that effective, marketing strategy out there now, where everyone's attention is almost available, really?
Well, I would say any marketing strategies being built now should definitely be looking at the online space, because obviously most things now are going towards online, even more so. I think I saw a statistic from the company In Publishing, which showed that every week more than 10 million people in the UK are listening to podcasts, right? So if someone doesn't like doing live stream video, as an example, they might start using podcasts, right? They might start an audio channel. They might start doing video cards. There's a number of things they can do as part of their strategy, because we know that certainly within the UK now, for the next maybe 9 to 12 weeks, a lot of us are going to be indoors. We also know that mobile telephony is on the rise. So we'd be silly to have websites that are not mobile friendly.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're doing anything when it comes to a strategy, obviously I think a strategy should be bespoke to a company. The strategy is based on that company's business plan and the direction you're going in, and the strategy is giving you the what, how you're gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
It's the direction that you're going in. So that would vary from company to company. But I would say for anyone listening, if you're in business, what you want to be doing is saying, okay, I am, perhaps previously doing retail in the shop. I'm going to shut my shop down, or I'm going to, make sure that my shop, all of my goods are now online. I'm going to get a Shopify store. I'm going to build a website. It's going to be e-commerce friendly. And, I'm going to start driving traffic to my website. And then I'm going to have some email marketing to start capturing data from people that are now visiting my social media. And I'm going to integrate the social media with the email marketing. And then I'm going to do maybe some tips every week on video. And there you have it, a very simple strategy. And I mean, I could go much deeper than that, but I'm just giving you an overview. The tactic.
That's an overview. If you want to find out more, we'll be sharing details of how to get on with V as well. Just to say, the phone lines are open as well. I want to say thank you to everyone who's sending questions. I will be getting to the questions before the end of the show. Phone number again is 074 956 36899. That's 074 956 36899. I know before the show I got loads of messages saying that, yes, I want to call in. Yes, it's your time to call in now, or you can still send us a message via WhatsApp as well. Okay, so I mean that's such a very simple way. You just describe the marketing strategy there. Use your time. And the tools are available. But some people think, marketing is not for me. My business doesn't require marketing. Do you agree with that, or do you disagree?
I know loads of people that think like that. I'll give you a funny joke. Well, you might not find it funny, but I certainly did.
Yeah.
There's a lovely individual that I've been connected to for a while now, and I've been giving advice and saying, do this, think about this. I've got a reputation, by the way, for giving lots of free tips to lots of people across the internet. They might not know me, but I might just see that, for example, they've done a caption on Instagram and they haven't necessarily used all the right hashtags, or they've only they've not used the blue clickable link on their Facebook page, or they've done something, and I can just give some useful tips. Most people take my tips and say, you know what, V, thank you, you really didn't have to do that. But some people totally ignore me and think they know better. Anyway, I recently had a conversation with someone. I said, how are you getting on? Because this person had emailed me without my permission, and also then DM'd me without my permission. But I'd been DM'd a series of questions, like the equivalent of a survey via a direct message. So I politely replied back and I said, look, I can show you 2 ways you can do surveys easily and effectively, so that you don't have to be going back to every single direct message that you sent to get your qualitative data, right?
Yeah.
So use SurveyMonkey or use Google Forms. You press the button, it shows you the results, you get your pie chart. Bob's your uncle. She said, I'm trying out different ways. I said, okay, no problem. So I left her. Then I got added to a WhatsApp group of about 100 odd people. And I tell you, that was the worst thing she could have done, because that just proved to me she doesn't know what she's doing. But you know what? You cannot help everyone.
Yeah.
You cannot bring a horse to water and expect it to drink. And that's always been my policy. I will always give advice, but I give what I call my foolish advice. And this is a running joke that I've got with all of my clients. When I give my foolish advice, whether my clients decide to take it at the time or later on, they will always see results from my foolish advice. And I would beg any of my clients to tell you otherwise. When I give advice, I always give sound advice based on what I know will work. And if I give recommendations on something, it's based on something I've done myself or something that I know will work for a client. And this lady decided to ignore everything I said and then threw me into a WhatsApp group without my permission. Now, if you know anything about GDPR,
yes,
right? GDPR is a thing. And what she found was lots of people complaining, why am I being added into this group? I didn't ask to be added into this group. To which she responded, I'm only sending you a price list. People were absolutely livid. right?
Yeah.
So my thing is this: if you want to say to me you don't need marketing help or you don't want help to do marketing, I don't mind. I don't mind, because whether you pay me or whether you access my content free on YouTube or whether you use someone else, I don't mind. But what offends me is if you think you know it all and then you do stuff and you get it really wrong. And her sending that WhatsApp message to all those people, I think she proves to herself she needs the help. But some people, you can't help. And me personally, I've got enough clients. I don't need to beg anybody to work with me. And if I give you a free tip and you don't want to take it on board and then you do something like that and you get loads of complaints back, that in itself tells me that you've got work to do. And that should also tell you. But as I said, I leave her to it. But just as a kind of guide to anyone listening in, do not send WhatsApp broadcasts without permissions. Do not send WhatsApp broadcasts off your price list. And also look at better ways to engage with people. WhatsApp is definitely not a platform that you should be using to broadcast to anyone without them opting in and agreeing to that, because the law, as it stands, any kind of data protection or privacy law, whether it's GDPR or not now, I don't know where we are now with all this EU stuff, but
I think it's still going to be amended. I think, but it's still
well, yeah, and you know, even if it's not, just the etiquette of knowing how to do marketing, don't do it. It's a big mistake. Get the right channels, get permissions, do things the right way, and if you don't know what you're doing, get the help or put your hand up and say, V, I'm stuck. Because honestly, I'll help you. There's nothing worse than making your brand annoy people, right? Would you agree?
Yes, 100%, because you're destroying the brand of the business already, because you're trying to build a brand, and they see your brand and everyone's just angry with your brand. There's no point.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened.
There'll be no engagement.
Everybody was just leaving the group and complaining first. They were making it known they didn't get permission, they weren't invited, they didn't ask for this, and then leaving. It was a shambles.
Wow, it's quite sad. Okay, you always give great tips, because I've been watching your videos as well, when you do your Instagram live, and
oh, thank you.
I'm always there taking notes and writing them down. I'm thinking, oh my God, she's dropping some gems on this one. Recently, you talked about online stores, because I think that was very relevant. You gave some tips about helping online stores increase sales, kind of thing, and
yes.
I wanted to say, could you maybe just repeat 3 or 4 of those tips for our listeners this evening? Because online stores is the way now, because no one is
going to online stores. I can give some pointers. Obviously, you put me on the spot. I can give some pointers, but what I will say is that's not my specialism. My specialism is online marketing and branding and strategy. But for anyone that has got like an Etsy store or an Amazon store or a Shopify store, I'm going to say a few points. The first thing is make sure all of your images are labeled. So use alt tags, which are brilliant for screen reading, and make sure you've also got all of your keywords and your captions and your descriptions and your links and your web pages titled correctly, because that all affects your SEO, right? Your search engine optimization and how you're showing up. Also, if you are a local business or you only ship locally, look at things like Google My Business or local Facebook advertising to get more footfall onto your shop front online, okay? And then make sure you've got a way to capture data. So when someone comes to your shop, make sure you've got a way to collect information about that person. Whether they buy from you or not, try to get them onto a mailing list. And also remember that, if they come to your store and they don't buy, you need to have a way, and I would say the way would be retargeting, but that's another call, another day. Yeah. Have a way to retarget people that have left their shopping basket full and not actually clicked buy now. So if someone's come to your page, as we do sometimes, and they've gone to buy a trestle table or a mirror, and it's still in the shopping basket, have an intelligent way of analyzing that. Okay, that person's come on, they didn't buy the table or the mirror, but I'm going to now send them an email reminding them that their shopping basket is still full, right? Most of us have experienced that at some time or the other, but many of us have e-commerce like ourselves, and don't actually administer that on our own site.
Yeah.
So have a way of reminding people that they were going to buy something. Also have a way of telling people that, you know, you've still got that offer running. So it's not necessarily saying to them, go back and buy it now, but you might say in 2 to 3 days' time, oh, by the way, those tables you were looking at, that mirror you were looking at is still available, right? So email marketing is good for shopping sites.
Amazing.
Making sure you've got really good visuals, and also navigation is key. In October, I did some work with three e-commerce stores I worked with in October. 2 were like online black businesses that sell. One of them sold like jewelry and bespoke pieces for the black community, and another one sold a variation of different things, but personalized items. So you could get anything from a memorial stone with someone's name on it, right through to a T-shirt or a cup with someone's name on it. Amazing. And one of the pieces of advice that I gave to the lady who had the personalized site was, you need to really brush up on the navigation. So she had, just very quickly, I'll explain, she had a website that had, we were doing a Christmas promo, so I was prepping her for Christmas, and I said, look at your tabs. I said, your navigation bar is not focused on anything festive. So when someone comes to your site, the first thing you're telling them is about us. When actually, if you think about the customer, when they come to your site, they might be coming for a specific thing. And with it being Christmas, as it was at the time when we were doing this piece, I said to her, what you want to do is change your navigation so that the first thing they see within the first 2 tabs is festive ideas or gifts for her or gifts for him, right?
Yeah.
So she tweaked all of that. She changed all of that. She got herself a really nice online catalogue to complement the website. And she wrote me a really nice testimonial to say that her sales had literally gone through the roof because of all of the work we've done together in that 1 month.
Amazing.
So there are many. I'm not a specialist in it, but I know what I'm talking about. I've built websites.
We have our first caller on the line.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
Good evening. Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi. Good evening. This is Michelle.
Hello, Michelle. How are you?
Hi,
hey.
Thanks. I've just been listening to your show. Absolutely amazing tips there from V. Thank you very much. I've been writing like crazy. Earlier you said that you were a young mom and you've got 4 kids. You've been able to build this amazing business. I was just wondering, how do you manage your time?
That's a good question.
How do I manage my time?
I'm a mom as well. So, how do you manage your time with the kids and the house and the business?
Well, all right. First of all, let me be honest. I've had a cleaner for about 1.5 years, right? So that's one of my secrets. Secondly, Uber Eats is my friend. So I do cook a lot, but I also know that I'm not a superwoman, and I can't, unless I'm going to sit down and prep food, I can't cook every day unless it's really quick meals, and they're not always cooked with love, if I'm honest. So I like to plan. When it comes to business, and also more relevantly now with homeschooling, I actually have a planner, and the planner that I produced for myself is what I now sell to clients and have been selling to other business owners and startups since 2018. So 2017 was when I did my first edition. 2018 was when I started actively selling more and more copies, but I sold a few the first year. They're available on Amazon, they're available on Shopify, they're also available on my website as well. And that's a planner that basically keeps me in line because it's got a weekly section and a monthly section. But it also gives me reminders like, have you drank enough water? Have you looked at, your wellness for this week? What are your priorities this month in terms of your online marketing or your content? What are you going to be doing when it comes to your budget? So when it comes to staying organized and being focused and planning in particular, which is what I think your question was, I use my own planner. I lead by example, and I carry that planner everywhere with me because it breaks down what I'm doing literally day by day.
That's really good. I mean, Michelle, does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you so much. So you said your plan is available. What's your website, sorry?
It's www.insighttomarketing.com/products. So it's insight and then the number 2 marketing.com /product.
Fantastic.
Oh, brilliant.
Fantastic. Okay, Michelle.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling. Keep listening to Double9Radio.
I definitely will. Take care. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's such a good question. Managing your time, because I mentioned earlier you're a superwoman, and you gave out the secrets now. People know how you manage this amazing, things you do to bring out the best in your clients as well. It's quite good. So that planner is available on www.insight2marketing.com/products.
Yes, and it's just £24. So it's quite a good investment, because it's packed with ideas, over 200 different campaign ideas, plus key dates for your diary, lots of workbook sections, over 30 pages of workbook sections to actually work through your brand and your marketing and your budget and your selling and reviewing each month. It's very good value for money, and it's an all year rounder. So it's not just for 1 month or for 90 days. It's for the whole year, and it's packed with tips.
Yeah, I think you guys should head on down and get that planner. It's amazing. Okay, I mean, the pandemic is a huge problem, or should we say a solution, or is it an opportunity? But what advice would you give small business owners at this point?
Well, I actually did a live on this morning, actually. It's quite a good question you've asked there. I mean, I think at the moment, my advice would be, it's a strain on a lot of us. A lot of us are going through it right now, whether we've got children or not, whether we're looking after the elderly people in our family, or whether we just, as individuals, cannot cope. And I think as business owners, or anyone thinking of starting a business, I would definitely say, consider your boundaries and look at your capacity, because boundaries and capacity is what's going to keep you going and keep you sane. And let me explain what I mean by that. With boundaries, you need to know your own limits, and you also need to know when to say no to things. And with capacity, certainly in this climate, it's about understanding, what can I actually afford not to do? Because we need to take the strain off of ourselves. I had my planner that I was just talking about, packed with events. I've got several speaking engagements. I was due to speak at an expo in February, and also in May, and then July and August. But because of the climate now, who knows what's going to happen?
We know.
Yeah. And so my advice to anyone is, prepare for the worst. And even if you can't prepare for the worst, at least have a plan B. Because a lot of us started off last year with some really grand ideas. And those ideas were dampened by month 3. And then we thought, it's going to die down. It's going to be fine. It's going to blow over. We're going to be all right. And here we are nearly a year later.
Still the same.
In exactly the same situation. So my advice is, set your boundaries, not just by yourself, but also your boundaries in terms of how other people are managing your time, so that you are not overwhelmed and not flustered and not under pressure. But also make sure you understand your capacity for growth. Maybe you shouldn't be doing business right now. Maybe you should just be taking time out and tapping out and being with your family, or tapping out and just being with your own thoughts and being still. It's not going to be a good time for everyone to be in business and doing all the things that are required to grow a business. Because if your mindset isn't there and you don't want to be customer facing, and you've got customers calling you or asking you questions, and you can't handle their inquiries, what will that do for your business?
Exactly. Amazing.
So my advice is, make a decision, be the boss of you and be the boss of your business, know your own limits, and pause if you need to.
Amazing. Great advice there from V. Great advice. Okay, I'm just going to go quickly into some of the questions that have come in. If I don't read your question, do not take offense to that. So I'll take the first question. It's from Grace in Northampton. Grace is asking, is Google Ads an effective way to advertise and market products?
Okay, so again, I'd never talk about things that I'm not an expert in, but what I will say to you is Google Ads can work for you, but there are alternatives to Google Ads which may give you more bang for your buck. So Facebook ads, as an example, also really good content. But if you're going to do Google Ads, make sure you invest in someone that's got evidence of getting results, or certainly if they haven't got evidence, maybe they might tell you that you pay for the results rather than paying them up front so that you don't get stung. I actually had a conversation just this week with someone from Google Ads about something that I'm working on at the moment. And I asked her to call me back in 3 weeks, again, because of my capacity at the moment and because of where I am at in terms of my business. I would say with Google Ads, just be mindful of, first of all, your budget and also the expert you hire to do it. I'm not an expert in Google Ads, and I never talk about anything that I don't know about. So I would say speak to an expert, do your research, scratch below the surface and make sure you do your checks before investing in anything. But also do consider alternatives which may be more effective. So, for example, retargeting using Facebook ads or even just really good content.
Amazing response to that. You know, and I love the fact of, you know, you mentioned a lot about the capacity. Understand where your capacity is. Understand if you're in the right, you know, frame of mind to actually take on a business as well. Because, yes, the pandemic can be an opportunity. It can be a problem. And it can be detrimental to one's mental health as well. So you need to ensure you ask yourself those questions. Okay, next question is from James in Peckham. James, is email marketing obsolete or still a viable way to get leads?
I think email marketing is a brilliant way to get business. I feel that if you've got a list, whether it's 10 people or 10,000 people, you should be working that list. And when I say working, I mean having conversations via someone's inbox. Now, assuming they've given you permission and assuming that you are someone who has something good and valuable to say, then, yeah, why not? You know, get into a rhythm of sending emails out on routine. Ask people what they want to read and access. And if you don't yet have an email list, then look at how you can build subscribers. Look at how you can get people to sign up for emails and tell them what they'll get. Maybe they sign up for a birthday discount code. Maybe they sign up for weekly tips or videos. Maybe they just sign up for coupon codes. It doesn't really matter. But not having email and having a business is like having a cup without a handle, because you can still drink tea out of a cup without a handle, right? Yeah. Visualize this, right? Yeah. But actually, if you have the handle on it, it's much easier to maneuver, right? Yeah. So if you think about the example I gave earlier about transactional marketing and understanding that if people are actually going to be speaking to you and you're nurturing relationships, what better way to nurture relationships than via someone's inbox? Or with their permission, via SMS messaging with their permission. Yeah. So, yes, email is not dead. I'm not going to say it's for everybody. And I'm also going to say there are some myths around email as well. Some people think it needs to be like paragraphs and paragraphs of text. But actually, a lot of my clients simply send an embedded video with one line. And that is an email, right? Yeah. So email isn't dead. But that was a great question, James. Thank you.
Okay. I'll take one more question before I go to my final questions. This is from Tembi from London. It says, what customer retention strategies would you advise?
The best customer retention strategy is customer satisfaction. Amazing. And that's my personal opinion. So if you want to know how to maintain customer loyalty and keep customers on side, give them an excellent customer experience. So that means before, during, and after selling to them, you want to make sure that you are aware of the processes that are part and parcel of what's involved from the moment that they interact with your brand, whether it's via email or phone or traditional post. What's the experience you're going to give them? Then when they bought your product or service, or when they have a consultation with you, as an example, what's the experience you give them? Because the more positive your customer experience is, the more likely customers will stay with you. And also, when customers stay with you, they usually then become what I call brand champions, where they may talk to other people about your brand because they are loyal to your brand, right? And if they talk to other people, that then brings more business into your business. So in terms of a customer retention strategy, things like incentives, making sure that you're regularly getting feedback from customers and acting on that feedback, even if it's negative. And also making sure that, as I said, as a business owner, you've got a way to ensure that people come back to you. So having an upsell, for example, you know, if someone's bought one of my courses and there's another course that might be relevant to them, or if they've done a coaching program and perhaps there is something I can give them for free to enhance what they've done, or I can maybe give them a 15-minute consultation on the back of that. It's not a strategy as in a sense, but it's definitely a way of enhancing the experience, which then does have a direct impact on how long they stay with my brand. The longer you can have a customer on side is basically a way to retain them, right? Yeah. So they don't necessarily have to be buying from you. They may actually just be in your email list. Okay, yeah. But it's your job to make sure that if they are in your email list, they're not just sitting there. So make sure you're having conversations with them, because they can easily drift off and go elsewhere, which is fine, because to be fair, if they drift elsewhere, they never really were loyal to your brand in the first place.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, I love that response. Thank you for that, V. Okay, I want to ask this question. If V could have a conversation with her younger self, what would that conversation be?
Conversation with my younger self?
Yes.
You know what it would be in terms of business?
It could be anything.
If I was to have a conversation with my younger self in terms of business, it would have been to hire more resource earlier. I did what a lot of other business owners do, and I don't hide this fact. I actually did a lot of stuff on my own for a very long time, and I actually still do my own social media even now till this day. But I have staff now, so I have a bigger team that helps me to do some of the tasks that are still fun tasks, but not necessarily tasks that I should be doing, because I'm asked to do things like, let's say, strategy, sit down and write strategic documents and plans for people. So to do other tasks that perhaps require, let's say, admin support or customer follow-up or chasing a delivery of a planner, as an example, those I have assigned people to specific jobs to look after those things. And it's quite a nice and refreshing feeling to be able to say to someone, you know, contact Sade, you know, contact Ruben, speak to Derek, because I've actually got allocated resource now.
Yeah.
So if I was speaking to my younger self, it would have been, V, even though you think you can't afford it, you can't afford not to afford it, because I've actually wasted a lot of time, right, by not hiring earlier. I've wasted a lot of time, and I can admit that.
I think that's a problem. It's a common problem, you know, with entrepreneurs or small business owners as well, because we think, you know, we want to do everything ourselves. Because we think, you know, no one else can do as much as we can. But giving us someone an opportunity and a build direction, and it takes a lot of, you know, free us a lot of time so we can invest in other things in developing the business, which I think
absolutely
is a good thing. Okay, I know V is always, you know, busy. She's always helping people out. You know, if she's not doing a live show, she's actually reading, she's actually doing a talk. But what is a fun fact about V?
A fun fact?
Yes.
There's so many. As I said, I'm a bit of a, I don't know, what's a fun fact about me? I don't know, because I think I'm quite a fun person, actually, if I might say so myself.
Okay.
But I don't know. All right, I'll tell you a fun fact. I do lots of accents. I can do loads of accents, and I said at the beginning, I love dancing. Absolutely love dancing. And I wanted to be a linguist when I was growing up. I'm still growing up now, but I wanted to be a linguist when I was at secondary school.
A linguist, wow.
Yeah, I studied Latin and I studied French and I did Spanish, and I absolutely loved languages.
Amazing. Wow. Okay, V, you know what? You know, the time is going so quickly. You know, I just want to keep you here all day, but I just can't do that. I want to say a big thank you, you know, for coming on the
problem.
Show. You know, it's been amazing, so informative as well. I hope my listeners have learned quite a lot, because I have as well, and I'm sure we'll be talking offline as well. But before you go, do you want to share maybe your contact details, email, Instagram, you know, your YouTube channel, so, you know, listeners can ensure to follow you and get hold of that planner as well? Yeah,
no problem. So my website is www.insight, and then the number 2 marketing.com. That's my website. I've got a blog on there. There's lots of information about UK funding that might be available to business owners if you're affected by lockdown and COVID. I've got information on there about ways to build your brand, how to do business planning. I've started back up my audio series on SoundCloud. So if you're on SoundCloud, you can go to soundcloud.com/inspire URBIZ. That's Inspire Your Biz, URBIZ. And then I've got lots of freebies, free tips, trainings, and videos on youtube.com/insight to marketing. So that's 3 main things, but I'm everywhere. If you look for the hashtag AskI2M for Mike, as in Ask I2M, you'll be able to find me on most platforms. And I've got a major giveaway that actually ends on Sunday, and a free masterclass.
Amazing.
Which is on Sunday. So if anyone catches this in time, you are more than welcome. I'm not sure how many spaces are left on the masterclass because it is limited seats. But for the giveaway, the entries close on the 10th at 10 p.m. and you can enter in a number of ways. And 2 of the prizes are coaching with me, one-to-one coaching. So if you've enjoyed my tips tonight, or you might be stuck and need some clarity or help, definitely want to enter those.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I'll be entering the competition. I don't know about you, because
go ahead,
because it's free. Getting a one-to-one with V. Oh my word, your business is just going to get transformed. I'm getting on there right away. You can find out on Instagram and Insight to Marketing on Instagram as well. Make sure you follow. You can get all the details you just shared on that Instagram page as well. V, it's been amazing. It's been great. I have so much appreciated you taking time out to come on the show as well. But any, final words for our listeners as well, just to take away with them?
Biggest takeaway I could leave you with tonight is, certainly in this climate, pace yourself. Get clarity on what you're doing, and then pace yourself. You don't have to worry about what anyone else is doing. Worry about what you're doing, and make sure you set some measurable goals. And even if you don't start today, get ready to start, and start taking baby steps when you can.
Fantastic. It's January. Ask yourself those questions. You listen to the amazing V this evening, and make sure again you're following up on Instagram. That's Insight to Marketing, to get all the details you just shared here on Double9Radio. V, it's been amazing. It's been great. I'm sure.
Thank you, Double9.
We will find a way to bring you back and get you away from that business shelter. We will try. But it's been amazing. I want to say a big thank you again, and I wish you the best of 2021.
Thank you. Take care.